Lieutenant Commander Ethan Caldwell gripped the controls of his F-18 Super Hornet, the roar of the jet engines vibrating through his chest as he soared over the Pacific. The training exercise was routine, two squadrons simulating a dogfight, testing maneuvers and coordination. Ethan's squadron, the Blue Hawks, was up against the Red Talons, a rival unit known for their aggressive tactics. At 35, Ethan was a seasoned pilot, his instincts honed by years of missions. But today his focus wavered. He'd heard a rumor. His old rival, Lieutenant Commander Marcus Reed, had transferred to the Talons. Marcus, the golden boy of their academy days, had always outshined Ethan, not through skill but through charm and connections. A decade ago, Marcus had sabotaged Ethan's chance at a prestigious flight school slot by spreading false rumors about his performance, costing Ethan a career-defining opportunity. The betrayal still stung. As the exercise began, Ethan's radar pinged. The Talons were closing fast, their jets slicing through the clouds. His wingman, Lieutenant Tara Novak, radioed, "Hawk 1, I've got 2 bogeys at 3 o'clock." Ethan acknowledged, banking hard to engage. His heart raced not from the maneuver but from the chance to face Marcus. He spotted a Talon jet, its markings glinting in the sun. The tail number confirmed it, Marcus Reed. Ethan's grip tightened. This wasn't just an exercise anymore. The dogfight was intense. Marcus's jet darted with precision, but Ethan matched him, weaving through the sky. Tara called out targets, but Ethan's focus was singular. He locked onto Marcus's jet, his missile warning system blaring as Marcus returned the favor. The radio crackled with Marcus's voice, taunting, "Still chasing my tail, Caldwell." Ethan didn't respond. He executed a high-G barrel roll, breaking the lock. The past surged back, Marcus's smug grin as Ethan was passed over, the whispers in the mess hall. Ethan wasn't that naive ensign anymore. The exercise ended with no clear victor, but Ethan felt a fire reignite. Back at base, he saw Marcus at the debrief, laughing with his new squadron. Their eyes met and Marcus's smirk faltered. Ethan approached, voice low. "This isn't over, Reed." Marcus shrugged, but Ethan caught the unease in his eyes. Over the next weeks, Ethan trained harder, pushing his squadron to outmaneuver the Talons in every drill. He studied Marcus's tactics, nodding his reliance on flashy moves over strategy. Ethan's chance for justice wasn't in a dogfight, but in proving who the better pilot was, fairly, this time. At the next exercise, Ethan devised a plan. He'd bait Marcus into a predictable move, exposing his weakness. The Blue Hawks coordinated silently, setting a trap. As the jets climbed, Ethan's heart pounded, not with anger but with purpose. This was his moment to rewrite the past. Ethan's plan required precision. He'd studied Marcus's patterns, always favoring a sharp climb to gain altitude advantage, then diving to attack. It was a move Marcus had used at the academy, one Ethan had once admired before the betrayal. Now it was a flaw to exploit. The Blue Hawks gathered before the exercise and Ethan briefed them. Talon 1 will climb early. We let him think he's got the edge, then box him in. Tara nodded, her trust in Ethan unwavering. The other pilots, Lieutenant Jake Harper and Ensign Mia Torres, exchanged glances but agreed. Ethan's intensity was infectious. Ere the Talons struck first, their jets scattering the Hawks' formation. Ethan stayed calm, his eyes on Marcus's jet. As predicted, Marcus climbed, his F-18 slicing upward. Ethan signaled Tara to shadow him loosely, keeping Marcus confident. "Hawk 2, stay low," Ethan radioed. "Wait for my mark." Tara complied, her jet skimming the clouds. Ethan trailed Marcus, letting him believe he had the upper hand. The radio crackled with Marcus's voice, smug as ever. "You're slipping, Caldwell." Ethan ignored it, focusing on the timing. Marcus dove, aiming for Ethan's 6, but Ethan was ready. He rolled left, drawing Marcus into a tight turn. Tara and Jake closed in from below, boxing Marcus's jet. Mia, the rookie, flanked from the right, her jet steady despite her inexperience. Marcus's maneuvers grew frantic, his jet wobbling as he tried to break free. Ethan's voice cut through the radio. "Got you, Reed." The simulated missile lock beeped in Marcus's cockpit, signaling his death in the exercise. The Talon's lead jet was out. At the debrief, Marcus's face was stone, his charm replaced by a tight jaw. The Blue Hawks' victory was undeniable, their coordination flawless. Captain Olivia Grant, overseeing the exercise, praised Ethan's strategy. "Textbook trap, Caldwell. You read their lead like a book." Marcus's eyes burned, but he said nothing. Ethan felt a quiet triumph, not petty revenge, but justice earned through skill. Back at the barracks, Tara clapped Ethan's shoulder. "You okay? You've been carrying that grudge a while." Ethan exhaled, the weight of a decade lifting. "I'm good now." He didn't need Marcus's apology. Proving himself was enough, but Marcus wasn't done. He approached Ethan later, voice low. "You think this settles it?" Ethan met his gaze. "It settles enough." The rivalry wasn't over, but Ethan had reclaimed his pride. The next exercise loomed, and he was ready to lead, not chase. The base buzzed with tension after the Blue Hawks' victory. Ethan's trap had humiliated Marcus, and whispers spread among the squadrons. The Talons, led by Marcus, doubled down on their training, their jets cutting sharper lines in the sky. Ethan noticed Marcus avoiding him, but the glares across the mess hall spoke volumes. Ethan didn't care. He'd proven his point, but the fire in him hadn't died. He wanted to keep pushing, not just for himself, but for his team. Captain Grant announced a new exercise, a joint operation simulating a strike on an enemy carrier. The Hawks and Talons would work together, a test of cooperation under pressure. Ethan groaned internally. Teaming up with Marcus was the last thing he needed. At the briefing, Marcus sat across from him, his posture stiff. Grant outlined the mission. The Hawks would provide air cover while the Talons led the strike. Ethan's role was critical: keep enemy fighters off the Talons. Failure meant the mission collapsed. In the air, the exercise began smoothly. Ethan's squadron patrolled, their jets weaving through simulated threats. Tara called out bogeys, and Ethan directed Jake and Mia to intercept. But Marcus's voice crackled over the radio, sharp and demanding. "Hawk 1, tighten your formation, you're leaving gaps." Ethan bristled but complied, knowing Grant was listening. Marcus's tone wasn't about teamwork, it was control. Ethan recognized the old power play, Marcus trying to reassert dominance. Mid-mission, a curveball hit. The enemy launched a surprise counterattack, simulated missiles targeting the Talons. Marcus's jet broke formation, diving to evade. Ethan saw the chaos unfolding. Marcus's strike team was exposed. Without hesitation, Ethan radioed, "Hawk 2, cover Talon 3, Hawk 4 on me." He dove, intercepting the threats, his jet screaming through tight turns. Jake and Mia followed, their coordination seamless. The Talons regrouped, but Marcus's jet lagged, his maneuvers sloppy under pressure. The mission succeeded, but barely. At the debrief, Grant was blunt. "Talon 1, your break cost us time. Hawk's solid recovery." Marcus's face reddened, but he stayed silent. Ethan felt no joy in it, just focus. He'd saved the mission not for Marcus, but for the team. Later, Tara cornered him. "You carried him today, he knows it." Ethan shrugged. "Doesn't matter, we did our job." That night, Marcus approached Ethan outside the hangar. "You think you're the hero now." His voice was bitter. Ethan stayed calm. "I'm not here for medals, Reed. I'm here to fly." Marcus scoffed but walked away. Ethan watched him go, knowing the rivalry was far from over. But he'd found his edge, not in revenge, but in leading his team to excellence. The next mission would test them all again, and Ethan was ready. The joint exercise left a rift between the squadrons. Marcus's mistake had cost the Talons credibility, and Ethan's quick thinking had saved the day, earning the Blue Hawks quiet respect around the base. Pilots whispered about the growing tension between Ethan and Marcus, some calling it a grudge match, others a clash of egos. Ethan didn't care for the gossip. He focused on drills, pushing Tara, Jake, and Mia to sharpen their reflexes. The Hawks were becoming a unit no one could ignore. Captain Grant called Ethan into her office a week later. "You've got leadership potential, Caldwell," she said, her tone direct. "But this thing with Reed, it's distracting. Keep it in check." Ethan nodded, though his gut twisted. He hadn't started this feud, but he'd be damned if Marcus dragged him down again. Grant's next words caught him off guard. "There's a slot opening for a Top Gun instructor. I'm recommending you. Don't let personal crap ruin it." Ethan's pulse quickened. Top Gun was the dream Marcus had stolen years ago. This was his shot to reclaim it. The next exercise was a high-stakes dogfight pitting the Hawks against the Talons again. Ethan knew Marcus would come hard, desperate to restore his reputation. In the briefing room, Marcus's eyes locked onto Ethan, his jaw tight. The Talons' strategy was bold, split their jets to flank the Hawks from multiple angles. Ethan anticipated it. He'd seen Marcus's playbook before. "Hawk 2, watch the low approach," he told Tara. "They'll try to split us." In the air, the Talons executed their plan, their jets fanning out. Marcus led the high group, his jet climbing aggressively. Ethan stayed calm, directing Jake and Mia to counter the low flank while he and Tara took the high. Marcus's voice crackled over the radio, all business. Talon 1 engaging. Ethan smirked. Marcus was predictable. Ethan baited him again, feigning a climb before diving sharply, forcing Marcus to overshoot. Tara locked onto Marcus's wingman while Ethan targeted Marcus. The simulated lock beeped, and Marcus's jet was down again. The debrief was tense. Grant praised the Hawks' adaptability but called out the Talons' lack of cohesion. Marcus's silence was deafening. Later, Jake pulled Ethan aside. "You're making him look bad, man. Watch your back." Ethan nodded. Marcus wasn't the type to let this slide. Sure enough, rumors started swirling. Whispers that Ethan was gaming the exercises, bending rules to win. Ethan recognized Marcus's old tricks, the same ones that had cost him years ago. Ethan confronted Marcus in the hangar. "Spreading lies again." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "You're not as clean as you think, Caldwell." Ethan stepped closer. "I don't need to cheat to beat you." The air crackled, but Ethan walked away. He had a Top Gun slot to earn, and no one, not even Marcus, would stop him. The rumors Marcus spread didn't stick, but they left a sour taste. Ethan noticed sideways glances from some Talons, but his own squadron stood firm. Tara, ever loyal, shut down the gossip in the mess hall. "Caldwell's clean. Reed's just mad he's losing." Jake and Mia backed her up, their trust in Ethan unshaken. Still, Ethan felt the pressure. Grant's recommendation for Top Gun was a lifeline, but Marcus's tactics could still jeopardize it. Ethan doubled down, pouring his energy into training. He ran extra sims with his team, refining their formations until they moved like a single mind. The next exercise was a complex air defense scenario. The Hawks and Talons were tasked with protecting a base from waves of simulated attackers. Coordination was key, and Ethan knew Marcus would try to outshine him. In the briefing, Marcus proposed a risky plan: split their forces to cover more ground. Ethan disagreed, advocating for a tighter defense to avoid gaps. Grant sided with Ethan, her trust in him clear. Marcus's expression darkened, but he nodded. In the air, the exercise was chaos. Waves of enemy jets came fast, testing both squadrons. Ethan's Hawks held their zone, Tara and Jake intercepting threats with precision. Mia, still green, struggled but followed Ethan's calm orders. Marcus's Talons, however, overextended, leaving a flank exposed. Ethan saw the gap and radioed Marcus. "Talon 1, close your left. You're wide open." Marcus snapped back. "Handle your own side, Caldwell." Moments later, simulated missiles hit the base through Marcus's gap. The debrief was brutal. Grant tore into Marcus for ignoring Ethan's warning. "You cost us the base, Reed. Ego's no excuse." Ethan stayed silent, letting the results speak. Marcus's reputation was crumbling and Ethan was rising, but victory felt hollow. Ethan didn't want Marcus destroyed, just outdone. That night, Tara found him staring at his jet. "You're not like him," she said. "You don't need to play dirty." Ethan nodded, but the Top Gun slot weighed on him. He couldn't let Marcus's games derail him again. Days later, Marcus cornered Ethan in the locker room. "You think you're untouchable now?" His voice was low, bitter. Ethan met his gaze. "I'm just doing my job, Reed. Maybe try it sometime." Marcus's fist clenched, but he backed off. Ethan knew it wasn't over. Marcus was desperate, and desperate men were dangerous. The next exercise was a chance to seal his Top Gun recommendation or lose it. Ethan spent the night studying, planning every move. He wasn't fighting for revenge anymore. He was fighting for his future, for his team, and for the pilot he'd always known he could be. The air defense failure hung over Marcus like a storm cloud. Ethan noticed him pushing the Talons harder, their jets screaming through dawn drills. But the harder Marcus pushed, the more his team frayed. Pilots grumbled about his short temper, his insistence on leading every maneuver. Ethan, meanwhile, leaned into his squadron's trust. He listened to Tara's suggestions, gave Jake room to take initiative, and coached Mia through her nerves. The Hawks were a unit, not a one-man show. The next exercise was a carrier strike, with the Hawks and Talons alternating as attackers and defenders. Ethan's team drew defense first, a role that suited their tight coordination. Marcus's Talons would attack, aiming to sink the carrier. Ethan knew Marcus would go all in, desperate to redeem himself. In the briefing, Marcus outlined an aggressive plan, a multi-angle assault to overwhelm the Hawks. Ethan stayed quiet, but his mind raced. Marcus's plan was bold but reckless, leaving little margin for error. In the air, Ethan positioned his jets strategically. Tara patrolled high, Jake and Mia low, while Ethan covered the center. The Talons came fast, their jets splitting as Marcus predicted, but Ethan had anticipated the move. "Hawk 2, climb and hold," he radioed. Tara ascended, ready to intercept. Marcus's jet led the charge, diving toward the carrier. Ethan shadowed him, waiting for the overcommit. When Marcus banked hard, Ethan was ready, locking onto his jet with a simulated missile. "Talon 1, you're out," Ethan said calmly. The other Hawks mopped up, Tara and Jake taking out 2 more Talons. The debrief was a turning point. Grant praised the Hawks' discipline, her eyes lingering on Ethan. "You read their playbook perfectly, Caldwell." Marcus's jaw tightened, his silence louder than any outburst. The Talons' loss was undeniable, their coordination sloppy compared to the Hawks. Ethan felt the Top Gun slot inching closer, but he didn't celebrate. Marcus's desperation was palpable, and Ethan knew a cornered rival was unpredictable. Back at the barracks, Mia approached Ethan. "Sir, I heard Reed's talking to some brass saying you're undermining him." Ethan's stomach sank. Marcus was playing dirty again, trying to tarnish his name with the higher-ups. Ethan thanked Mia and headed to Grant's office. He laid out the history, Marcus's betrayal at the academy, the rumors, the tension. Grant listened, her face unreadable. "Focus on flying, Caldwell. Let me handle Reed." Ethan nodded, trusting her judgment. That night, Ethan sat alone, staring at a photo of his old academy class. Marcus's grin stood out, but Ethan's own face, young, hopeful, reminded him why he was here. He wasn't fighting for revenge anymore. He was fighting to be the pilot he'd always meant to be. The next exercise would be his chance to prove it, no matter what Marcus threw at him. Grant's warning to focus on flying stuck with Ethan. He pushed the rumors out of his mind, channeling his energy into the next exercise, a simulated rescue mission. The Hawks and Talons had to escort a downed pilot's beacon through hostile airspace. Coordination was critical, and Ethan knew Marcus would try to steal the spotlight. The briefing confirmed it. Marcus volunteered the Talons to lead the escort, leaving the Hawks to cover their flanks. Ethan saw through it. Marcus wanted the glory, but the flanks were where the real fight would be. In the air, the mission started smoothly. The beacon's signal guided the squadrons, with Marcus's jets forming a tight wedge ahead. Ethan kept his hawks spread, Tara and Jake scanning for threats. Mia, growing more confident, mirrored their moves. Then the enemy struck, simulated jets swarming from multiple angles. Marcus's voice barked over the radio, ordering the Hawks to engage. Ethan ignored the tone, focusing on the threats. Hawk 2, take the high group. Hawk 4 with me, he said, diving toward the low attackers. The fight was chaotic. Ethan's jet danced through the fray, locking onto targets with precision. Tara's voice crackled, calm and steady, as she took out 2 enemies. Jake and Mia held their own, their training paying off. But Marcus's Talons struggled, their formation too tight to maneuver effectively. One Talon jet fell to a simulated missile, then another. Ethan saw the gap and radioed Marcus. Talon 1, widen your spread, you're sitting ducks. Marcus snapped back. Stay in your lane, Caldwell. Moments later, another Talon was hit. Ethan took charge, redirecting his Hawks to cover the Talon's weak side. The mission succeeded, but only because of Ethan's quick thinking. At the debrief, Grant was blunt. Talon 1, your leadership cost us jets. Hawks, you saved the mission. Marcus's face was a mask, but his eyes burned. Ethan felt no satisfaction, just relief. He'd done his job. Afterward, Tara pulled Ethan aside. Reed's losing his team's trust. You see how they're looking at him? Ethan nodded. The Talon's pilots were frustrated, their loyalty to Marcus fraying. Ethan didn't want to exploit it, but he knew Marcus's ego was his own worst enemy. Later, Grant called Ethan in. I've spoken to the brass about Reed's rumors. They're not buying it. Your record speaks for itself. Ethan exhaled, the Top Gun slot feeling closer. That night, Marcus confronted Ethan outside the mess hall. You're turning my team against me, he hissed. Ethan stayed calm. You're doing that yourself, Reed. Marcus stepped closer, but Ethan didn't flinch. Keep pushing and you'll crash, Ethan said. Marcus stormed off, but Ethan knew the fight wasn't over. The next mission would test his resolve, and he was ready to lead, no matter the cost. The rescue mission's success cemented Ethan's reputation, but the tension with Marcus reached a boiling point. The Talon's pilots were openly frustrated, their trust in Marcus eroding with every loss. Ethan overheard them in the hangar, muttering about Marcus's rigid tactics. Ethan didn't gloat. He knew how fast loyalty could shift in a squadron. He focused on his own team, running extra drills to keep their edge. Tara, Jake, and Mia were a well-oiled machine now, their confidence in Ethan absolute. The next exercise was a high-altitude intercept, designed to test speed and precision. The Hawks and Talons were pitted against a hostile squadron of drones, programmed to mimic advanced fighters. Ethan's strategy was simple: use the Hawks' tight coordination to outmaneuver the drones while letting the Talons take the aggressive lead. Marcus, predictably, pushed for his team to dominate the engagement, his plan relying on speed over teamwork. Ethan didn't argue in the briefing. He'd let Marcus's choices speak for themselves. In the air, the drones were relentless, their AI unpredictable. Ethan kept his Hawks in a loose formation, ready to adapt. Marcus's Talons charged in, their jets blazing at full throttle. For a moment it worked, 2 drones were down. But the drones adjusted, targeting the Talons' exposed flanks. Ethan saw the trap forming and radioed, "Talon 1, pull back. You're overextended." Marcus ignored him, his jet chasing a drone into a dangerous climb. Seconds later, a drone locked onto Marcus, its simulated missile ending his run. Ethan didn't hesitate. "Hawk 2, cover Talon 3, Hawk 4 on my 6. He led his team into the fray, weaving through the drone's attacks. Tara took out a drone with a precise lock, while Jake and Mia flanked another, their moves seamless. The Hawks' discipline turned the tide, neutralizing the remaining drones. The mission was a success, but the Talons had taken heavy losses. At the debrief, Grant's voice was sharp. "Talon 1, your recklessness cost your team. Hawks, you cleaned up their mess." Marcus's silence was heavy, his pilots avoiding his gaze. Ethan felt the shift. Marcus's influence was crumbling. Later, Jake grinned at Ethan. "You made him look like a rookie out there." Ethan shook his head. "It's not about him, it's about us." That evening, Grant called Ethan to her office. "The Top Gun slot is yours if you keep this up," she said. "But Reed's filed a formal complaint claiming you're undermining his command." Ethan's jaw tightened. Marcus was desperate, resorting to official channels. "It's baseless," Ethan said. Grant nodded. "I know, but watch your back." Ethan left, his resolve hardening. Marcus could play dirty, but Ethan would win clean. The next exercise was his chance to seal the deal, and he wouldn't let Marcus, or anyone, stand in his way. Marcus's complaint didn't gain traction, but it left a shadow. Ethan felt the eyes of the brass on him, evaluating every move. He couldn't afford a misstep. The Top Gun slot was within reach, and he was determined to earn it, not just for himself, but for his team, who'd stood by him through Marcus's games. The Hawks trained relentlessly, their cohesion a stark contrast to the Talon's growing disarray. Ethan noticed Marcus's pilots arguing in the hangar, their frustration with his leadership spilling over. The next exercise was a night operation, a high-risk scenario simulating a stealth strike on an enemy base. The Hawks and Talons had to coordinate, with the Hawks running interference while the Talons delivered the payload. Night ops were Ethan's specialty. His ability to read the dark sky had earned him respect early in his career. Marcus, however, struggled with low-visibility missions, a weakness Ethan remembered from the academy. He didn't mention it to his team, but he planned around it. In the briefing, Marcus pushed for a complex plan, splitting the Talons into 3 groups to confuse the enemy. Ethan saw the flaw immediately: too many moving parts in the dark. He suggested a simpler approach, consolidating their forces for better control. Marcus shot him down, his voice sharp. "I'm leading this, Caldwell. Follow my orders." Grant raised an eyebrow but let it stand. Ethan nodded, but his mind was already working. In the air, the night was ink black, the stars hidden by clouds. Ethan's Hawks flew tight, their instruments guiding them. Marcus's Talons scattered as planned, but their coordination faltered. Ethan's radar showed gaps in their formation, leaving them vulnerable. When the enemy engaged, Marcus's group struggled to respond, their comms chaotic. Ethan stayed calm, directing Tara and Jake to cover the Talon's left flank while Mia guarded the right. "Stay sharp," he radioed. "We've got this." The enemy drones hit hard, exploiting the Talon's disarray. Marcus's jet was hit early, his voice cursing over the radio. Ethan took over, redirecting the Talons to regroup behind the Hawks. His team's precision held the line, allowing the Talons to deliver the payload. The mission succeeded, but only because of Ethan's leadership. At the debrief, Grant didn't hold back. "Talon 1, your plan was a mess. Hawks, you pulled it off." Marcus's face was unreadable, but his pilots' silence spoke volumes. Later, Tara found Ethan. "Reed's done. His team's turning on him." Ethan didn't celebrate. He won the battle, but the war wasn't over. Marcus's complaint still lingered, and the Top Gun decision was days away. Ethan knew Marcus had one last card to play. Whatever it was, Ethan would face it head-on, his team behind him, ready to prove they were the best. The night ops success was a high point for the Hawks, but Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that Marcus was planning something. The complaint Marcus filed had been dismissed, but Ethan knew his rival too well. Marcus didn't give up easily. The base was abuzz with talk of the Top Gun slot, and Ethan's name was on everyone's lips. His team rallied around him, their loyalty a shield against the whispers Marcus had tried to spread. Tara, Jake, and Mia were more than a squadron now. They were family. The final exercise before the Top Gun decision was a gauntlet, a multi-phase mission combining air combat, reconnaissance, and a simulated extraction. Both squadrons would be judged on teamwork, adaptability, and leadership. Ethan saw it as his chance to seal the slot. Marcus, however, saw it as his last stand. In the briefing, Marcus was subdued, his usual bravado gone. His plan was conservative, a stark contrast to his earlier recklessness. Ethan sensed a trap but couldn't pinpoint it. In the air, the mission unfolded in phases. The Hawks and Talons worked together on recon, identifying enemy positions. Ethan's team moved like clockwork, Tara's sharp eyes spotting targets, Jake relaying coordinates, and Mia holding steady. Marcus's Talons were competent but lacked the Hawks' polish. The combat phase hit next, with drones swarming both squadrons. Ethan directed his team with calm precision, neutralizing threats while covering the Talons. Marcus's jets held their own, but Ethan noticed something off. Marcus was holding back, letting the Hawks take the brunt of the fight. The extraction phase was where it unraveled. Marcus's Talons were tasked with securing the target while the Hawks provided cover. But Marcus's jet lagged, his team hesitating. Ethan radioed, "Talon 1, move in, we've got your 6. Marcus's response was curt, "Handle your side, Caldwell." Moments later, Marcus's jet broke formation, leaving his team exposed. A drone locked onto a Talon jet and Ethan dove to intercept, saving it. But the delay cost them. The target was lost. At the debrief, Grant was furious. "Talon 1, you abandoned your team. Hawks, you mitigated the damage, but it wasn't enough." Ethan's heart sank. The mission was a partial failure, and he knew Marcus had sabotaged it, sacrificing his own team to make Ethan look bad. Marcus's face was blank, but Ethan caught the flicker of a smirk. Later, Tara was livid. "He set us up," Ethan nodded, "and he'll pay for it." That night, Ethan went to Grant, laying out his suspicions. She listened, her face grim. "I'll handle it, Caldwell. Focus on what's next." Ethan trusted her but felt the clock ticking. The Top Gun decision was imminent, and Marcus's final play had left a mark. Ethan had to stay sharp, not for revenge, but for the future he'd fought so hard to earn. The failed extraction mission left a bitter taste, but Ethan refused to let Marcus's sabotage define him. The Hawks rallied, their trust in Ethan unshaken. Tara, Jake, and Mia spent late nights in the sim room refining their tactics. Ethan joined them, his leadership quiet but steady. He knew the Top Gun decision was close, and Marcus's stunt had muddied the waters. Grant's promise to handle it gave him hope, but Ethan wasn't one to rely on others. He'd prove his worth in the air. The final evaluation was a solo mission, a rare test of individual skill. Each pilot would navigate a simulated combat zone, facing drones and environmental hazards. Ethan saw it as his chance to shine without Marcus's interference. In the briefing, Grant's eyes lingered on him. "This is about you, not your team. Show us what you've got." Marcus sat across the room, his expression unreadable. Ethan felt the weight of their history but pushed it aside. This was his moment. In the cockpit, Ethan's world narrowed to the controls and the sky. The mission was brutal, drones attacked from all angles, and weather simulations tested his navigation. Ethan's instincts kicked in, his jet weaving through threats with surgical precision. He remembered every lesson from the past months. Tara's calm under pressure, Jake's quick thinking, Mia's growing confidence. They weren't with him, but their trust fueled him. He locked onto drones, taking them out one by one, his maneuvers flawless. Marcus flew after him, and Ethan heard the chatter on the radio. Marcus was struggling, his jet clipped by a drone early on. Ethan didn't gloat, he focused on his own run. When he landed, Grant was waiting. "Cleanest run I've seen in years, Caldwell," she said. Ethan nodded, his heart pounding. Marcus's run, by contrast, was a mess, his score barely passing. The contrast was stark. That evening, Grant called Ethan to her office. "The Top Gun slot is yours," she said. "Reed's complaint was investigated and dismissed. His stunt in the last mission sealed it. He's been reprimanded." Ethan exhaled, the weight of a decade lifting. "Thank you, ma'am," Grant smiled. "You earned it. Now go teach those hotshots how it's done." At the barracks, Tara, Jake, and Mia threw an impromptu celebration. "To the Hawks' leader," Tara toasted. Ethan grinned, but his thoughts drifted to Marcus. He found him later, alone by the hangar. "It's over, Reed," Ethan said. Marcus looked away. "You win, Caldwell." There was no apology, but Ethan didn't need one. He won by being better, not bitter. As Ethan prepared for Top Gun, he felt a new chapter opening. The rivalry was behind him, but the sky was ahead. He was ready to lead, to teach, and to fly, on his terms, with his team's pride in his heart. Ethan's departure for Top Gun was bittersweet. The Hawks threw a send-off, their laughter echoing in the mess hall. Tara gave him a mock salute, her grin wide. "Don't forget us when you're schooling those rookies." Jake handed him a patch with the Hawks emblem, and Mia, now more confident, hugged him tightly. "You showed me I could do this," she said. Ethan's throat tightened. His team had been his anchor, and leaving them felt like leaving family. But the Top Gun slot was his dream, earned through years of grit and Marcus's shadow. At the Top Gun school, Ethan stepped into a new world. The instructors were legends, their expectations brutal. Ethan thrived, his experience with the Hawks giving him an edge. He taught young pilots the precision and teamwork he'd honed, his lessons grounded in real missions. His students respected him, not for flash, but for his calm authority. Yet Marcus's name lingered in whispers, rumors of his transfer to a desk job after the reprimand. Ethan didn't dwell on it. Marcus's fall was his own doing. Months into the program, Ethan got a letter from Tara. The Hawks were dominating exercises, and Mia had earned her first solo kill in a drill. "You built something real here," Tara wrote. Ethan smiled, tucking the letter away. He was shaping pilots now, just as he'd shaped his team. But one day a familiar face appeared at Top Gun. Marcus, assigned as a guest instructor. Ethan's stomach twisted. The rivalry wasn't dead. Marcus approached him after a lecture, his demeanor changed, less swagger, more restraint. "I'm not here to fight, Caldwell," he said. "I'm trying to rebuild." Ethan studied him. The old Marcus would have sneered, but this one seemed genuine. "Then do it right," Ethan replied. They didn't speak again, but Ethan watched Marcus teach. He was competent, but the spark was gone. Ethan felt no joy in it, just closure. As Ethan's time at Top Gun neared its end, he reflected on his journey. The betrayal that had defined him for years no longer did. He'd faced Marcus, not with vengeance but with excellence. His final evaluation was flawless, earning him a permanent instructor role. He accepted, knowing he could shape the next generation of pilots. Back at the base for a visit, Ethan reunited with the Hawks. Tara, now a lieutenant, led the squadron with the same fire Ethan had. Jake and Mia had grown into leaders, their skills undeniable. As they watched the jets soar, Ethan felt peace. The sky had tested him, Marcus had pushed him, but his team had grounded him. He won, not by destroying his rival, but by rising above him. The future was his, and the sky was limitless.